The screen.
Oh, ঠিক আছে.
Can you see the screen?
I can.
Okay. We are now live. Hello, everyone. Good evening from Bangladesh. Uh, I hope all of you are doing well. Today's session is about teachers as researchers. We are very grateful to our Astafar and Miss for inviting us to talk about research. I'm Rezon Chaudhry here. I'm working as an IB teacher in Bangladesh.
And I am Sayeda Aliza Salik. I am also an IB PYP educator working in Abdul Qadir Mullah International School, Bangladesh.
Thank you. Miss,
So
can
good
you see the
evening,
screen?
everyone from Bangladesh.
Miss, can you see the screen?
Yes, it is visible. I
Okay,
can
thank
see
you.
it.
So today's agendas are the guidelines of writing our research paper, the steps of conducting our research, and the importance of conducting our research. Now, Miss Aliza Salik will going to talk about the guiding questions for today's session.
All right. So, as we are educators, research is a thing that we all need to be involved with. We need to conduct research. It does not only help us develop our knowledge, it develops our critical thinking, problem solving skill, communication skill, and definitely gives us more ways to teach better. So when an educator is going to conduct a research, the very common questions are why do teachers need to conduct a research, how can a research be conducted? Those are some very common questions, like what are the steps in conducting a research, how we are going to collect, can be collected and analyzed, and the most important thing, how research can help us in our careers. So I hope in this session we are going to talk about and answer those questions, and I hope the viewers, educators from all around the world will have a little idea, and after discussing those questions, inshallah, everyone will be a little benefited from those questions. So let's get started with the very first one. Why do teachers need to do research? Teachers or educators need to do research because obviously we need to teach better. We need to teach a lot of things, not only our classroom materials, syllabus, or whatever we call it. So we to develop our knowledge, to broaden our outlook, we need to conduct research. And how can a research be conducted? A research, there are some very specific guidelines of conducting a research, which we are going to discuss in a very explicit manner in slide number 7. We are going to come to this point in a minute. So, what are the steps? We are going to discuss the steps here, how the data and information can be collected, and how research can help us in our career. So let's start with how a research can be conducted. So I'm going to talk about the very explicit process of conducting a research paper. Can I ask Rezvan sir to go to slide number 7, please?
Sure.
Yes. So the ways of conducting a research is, the very first thing we need to do, we need to locate or identify or define an issue or a problem. This is the very first step of conducting a research. We need to understand the assignment, choose a topic of what problem we are going to address in our research paper. Then we have to conduct some preliminary research, develop a thesis statement, create a research paper outline. We have to collect the data, we have to analyze them, and the data can be collected in two ways, which I am going to discuss in a minute. And then we write a first draft. After that, we need to write the introduction, and then finally, we need to prepare the body where, after analyzing, we are going to come up with some suggestions or decision making how the issue or the problem can be addressed, or with some suggestions how that can be solved or handled. So that's it. And now, the next question here, what are the steps? So, those are the steps we discussed in a very brief way. This is how we can be conducting those research and collecting data. This is a very important issue. Data can be collected in various ways. We can collect data through face-to-face interviews. We can we can arrange or make some questionnaires. From there, we can collect some data as well, and we can target a focus or a focus group. With this group we can talk, or we can through email. Now there are various means of communication, so with a target group or focus group we can get those information or data, and we can collect data from the previous documents and records as well. And then we can analyze, interpret those data, and the final step is we can, after analyzing, we can report our finding, research finding. This means the presentation of the analyzed data, and that can be presented through a very explicit and easily presentable manner so that it can be understandable to everyone. From that, everyone can be benefited. So those are the steps. Can we move on to next topic, please?
Thank you. Can I go to slide 6?
Yes, sure.
Okay. If we knew what it was we were doing, it would not be called research, would it? Written by Albert Einstein. That means when we are going to research something, there should be an issue. If there is an issue, then you should go for to find out the pros and cons, or maybe the advantages and why we need to do research. Because after research things, you're going to find out some recommendations. You're going to give some recommendation to the community. As we are academic persons, we are basically work on academic stuffs. So for example, Miss Aliza and I have published some articles, and those articles have been published in international um, um,
Journals.
journals. And it was all about academic things, like um, how the learning being happened during this COVID, and what is the status of online education during this pandemic. So we have we try to find some clues how the teachers can or some solutions how the teachers can conduct the classes smoothly, or how the learners can work collaboratively, different schools or different teachers. So when you go for a research things, there should have some challenging stuffs. So you have to target there is some problem or maybe lackings, and we need to find out the solution.
All right. So I would like to add on here. In
Sure.
our first research paper, the
Mm-hmm.
title was the impact of COVID on online studies,
Mm-hmm.
on online teaching platform. So there we tried to address how the teaching system, the whole entire teaching system has gone through some changes. Suddenly we had to shift completely from physical classes to online classrooms, and
Right.
now how the teaching has changed and how we are coping up, and obviously the learners are coping up, what are the problems we are facing, and how we can address those issues. So we tried to talk about all these things. And in
Excellent.
the second one, how to improve our teaching qualities through collaboration. Why collaboration is important in online teaching. And as we have shifted our classrooms to virtual classrooms, so how can we make our collaboration even more effective, how it is going to affect our learners. So those are the things we try to come up with.
Exactly. Structure of paper. For example, those are new in research. I mean, those are new researchers or those who are, you know, would like to write something about an issue or problems. They have to follow. There is not a certain or particular structure, but we have got this information from an article in Google. Uh, you can write in your way, but we are just trying to give some
Very
uh,
basic idea.
outline, yes, basic things. So there should be a title in the beginning of the things, and abstract. Of course, there should be an abstract because some of the if you want to publish your paper or present your paper in international conference, first they're going to ask you to give you a abstract. Once the abstract is finalized, then they will tell you to go for writing the article or
The
journal.
abstract will give a very brief idea about the whole research paper. So whoever is going to
Exactly.
read it will get an idea after reading the abstract
Like
of what are
summarize
the
the
things
things, right?
that summarizes the things, right?
Exactly. So we did not write about the abstract, but if you want to publish your paper or present your paper in international conference, then they will ask you to give the abstract paper, and that will, once it is get approved from those conference, then you can go for writing the whole paper. So if you start writing for whole paper, there is a some basic structure, that there is a title of the page and table of content that include the number of pages, what are the stuffs you are going to give it in the journals. Mostly those journals are published in international publications. They are asking for 11 to 13 or 14 pages, so you have to keep those things in your mind as well. And then there is an interaction. In interaction, you have to write about the central idea on the whole topic, and then main paper. In main paper, you can write some, there can be some paragraphs or sub part of the main part. And then conclusion should not be more than a half page, or maybe not more than even a page, because you already written a lot of things in the main part. So conclusion is should not be like 15 to 10, not more than 15 to 20 lines or sentences. And then bibliography or works cited. This is very important because when we do research, we are not only collecting the information from the interview or through survey. We also collect information from other journals. Those are related to your topic or our topic, or maybe newspaper. So maybe magazines, or maybe some online stuffs or website or blogs. So we have to give a site of those things in the bibliography or works cited or reference. And this is very important. There is a structured way to write.
Way of, right,
Yeah, way of
mentioning
writing
the
the, yeah,
citations,
mention the
right.
things.
It's okay, we can take things from other citation, we can cite others works as well, but
Exactly.
it has to be mentioned properly,
Even
acknowledged
if you
properly.
are taking an interview, you can mention the name of that person.
Yes, yes, that has to be mentioned.
Exactly. Then the thesis statement should address the following questions. When you are planning for writing a thesis paper or maybe a journal, there will be three questions: what, how, and when. So what is the paper about? That means what issue you are going to think about to write. And then how to approach your paper. That means what is the process of your writing. And when is the course of paper are you dealing with the which dealing with which issues. So we are just giving one example of writing the introduction, because the introduction mostly people are doing some mistakes. So if the writer researcher writing something, this those should not be in the introduction. So publications, those are publishers, they are going to give you some feedback. Please avoid those stuff. So we are just we just written shortly what the things you should do and what the things you should not do. So if we think about do's and don'ts, so do's are present relevant background or contextual material, explain the focus of the paper and your specific purpose, and reveal your plan of organization. That means what are the things you are going to include in this paper, so you can give a little bit ideas in the introduction part. And what the things you should not do, the first one is avoiding presenting result of your analysis. So what are the things you have analyzed, all the stuff you should not give it in the introduction part, because otherwise the readers, the audience, your target audience not going to go through all the paper. So you have to avoid this part, and then avoid the giving irrelevant information. Those information are not connected with your topic or with your thesis paper. And then avoid giving summaries of the plot. So we can give the summaries of the plot maybe in the conclusion plot part, not in the introduction part, right, miss?
Right. Right.
Then main part, in every subsequent paragraph or section that we already talked about, in the main part you can give some paragraphs. So there are maybe some subtitles, maybe some sub points you can add on there, 6 to 7 pages, maybe some advantage, challenges, recommendations. All these stuffs will be in the main part. Okay, so in conclusion, there are some things you should follow. Like, do not be afraid to tell the reader once again what the main points of your document were. So you can give some things. You need to include the information. Those were, some people already published about the topic, but you have got some ideas. So there can be an argument things over there, and the reader likes to reminder of the central issues of your paper
It's
to make sure.
completely okay. We can present some arguments in favor of this statement or against
Exactly,
those statements, but it has to be
exactly,
logical.
exactly. And your conclusion should answer the questions raised in your thesis statement. So you can give some guiding questions even in your paper. So the way we have given the guiding question beginning of our session, the Miss Aliza Salik talk about. So you can give some questions, and you can those answers can be in the conclusion part.
Right.
Yes, Miss
And
Aliza Salik.
yes, and now we are here to talk about the bibliography or the reference part. So, as we said, when we are conducting a research, we need to go through a lot of, reading, and a lot of resources we need to go through. We need to look at to collect our data and information, and we can take things from there. It's completely all right. And the thing is, we need to mention, acknowledge the source, and there are some very specific rules of how we can acknowledge, how we can mention those sources, the authors. The uh, first thing is we have to mention the author's last and first name, and we need to mention the title and the subtitle of the source, from where maybe it is published in a newspaper, maybe it is published in a journal, in any international journals, or we have taken it from internet. Whatever it is, we have to mention that source, and we have to mention the other contributors, like if named in addition to author. We have to mention the version, the number, the publishers, from which publication it has been published, those things, the publication date,
The
and the
volume.
location, the volume, and if possible, the location as well, from where it is published. So, though, this is how we can make our bibliography a very authentic one. Hopefully, this information will be a little helpful for our viewers.
And there is a way to write the reference through even Microsoft Word, right? Means there is a reference
Right.
point. So if you click on it, you can go and get all these things. So you just need
There
to.
are many ways. There are many ways to write references, but I guess APA referencing is the most, you know, common one nowadays. APA
Exactly.
referencing.
Hmm. Most of the researchers are following this one.
Most of the researchers are following this, and yes, the steps of conducting a research. So yes. There are again, we are going to present the steps of conducting a research. There we are going to talk this is a very explicit, you know, way, explicitly shown ways of conducting, how we can conduct a research. So there are some very specific steps. The very first one, we have to identify and develop the topic. As I said earlier, we have to identify the problem or the issue that we want to address here. Step two, do a primary preliminary search for information. So we need to conduct a very primary research. We have to collect some very primary data. Locate. Step three, we have to locate our materials. Step four, evaluate your sources. We need to look at the sources from where we have got those information from. Number five, we have to keep our notes, make notes before we go for the final writing. We need to go through a lot of, drafting,
Sketch
we
notes.
should say, yeah. And then we need to finally start writing our paper. In step seven, we have to cite the sources properly, referencing
Reference.
and referencing right. And then the final step, step eight, is proofreading. This is the most important one. We need to go through the whole paper again and again because
Or someone who is very good at
yes, we can
experience.
take help from someone who has ideas, who has got the articles published, so they
Hmm.
can give us good ideas, they can, give us good suggestions. So this is how we can make our research paper a really quality one, hopefully. And the final thing is the importance of conducting a research. So obviously, when we conducted a research for the first time, we also had the same thing in our mind. As I would like to say, now we are working in a school, right? So we had the same thing in our mind. So why, as school teachers, we have to conduct research? So why are we going to do that? So after conducting this research, we really found that it is very important. It is important in this sense because it really develops our critical thinking skills. So when we deal with the data, any problem, we collect data and analyze those data and come up with some suggestions and solutions or recommendations. Obviously, it develops our critical thinking skills, and it develops our problem solving skills. As well as we, after analyzing the data, we are trying to come up with some recommendations or solutions of the addressed issue or problem. And of course, it develops our communication skill as well. As we are conducting surveys, interviews, we need to communicate with lots of people while conducting a survey.
We
It
developed our network as well.
definitely, it helps us to, grow our network. Surely develops our network as well. And of course, this is how we can develop our creativity as well. So after all these things, obviously, an educator becomes an asset for an institution. So this is how it adds value to our career as well. So that's why conducting a research is really very, very important because it gives us a new way of looking at things. So this is how it is really important.
Yes, we do remember when our first paper was published. Miss Asnafain also, appreciated us a lot. Our article was
Appreciated
published.
us a lot.
The link
Yes.
was given in the school
WhatsApp
Facebook
group,
page.
right?
Exactly, WhatsApp and
WhatsApp group and
Facebook.
Facebook group, Facebook page as well, right?
Exactly.
So we have conducted
So
three research papers so far together, right? And obviously, we have been appreciated, supported a lot by our head of PYP. She always motivates us, obviously, keeps our spirits high.
she's a researcher as well.
She is a researcher as well, obviously. So she is a very good motivation for us as well.
Exactly. So, do research need collaboration? Yes. Without collaboration, cannot, go ahead with your paper. For example, would you remember when we have published our first research paper? We created a Google form and shared in LinkedIn and social medias, and more than 100 teachers, because our research paper was an academic thing. So our target audience was only the teachers and administrators. Those
Right.
are working school and college or maybe university, and we could reach 100 people through LinkedIn and social medias, and now they have given all the informations and their ideas through Google Form. Uh, Based on their, because there was like 30 to 40 questions, and we know it takes time, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or even more than 20 minutes to fill up the 20 or 30 questions. But they have given there enough time for, um, fill up the questionnaires, and we have got a lot of information from them. And there, when you set your questionnaires, there are different kinds of questions: open-ended question, close-ended questions, short paragraph questions. And uh, when we have got the information, it was easy for us to make the slides, or make the bar graph, and we could attach all the stuffs
Right.
in our journal. Miss Aliza, do you want to share something about these things, about collaboration?
So obviously. So when we worked for our second and third research paper, obviously it was all about collaboration. We have been in collaboration with educators all over the world, almost, I should
Not
say.
only
So
local teachers and
not
administrators, not
only
only.
local teachers, we have educators from Sri Lanka, we have educators from Maldives,
Do
India.
you want to share about our last one? There we could reach 600 teachers. It's a
Yes, we could reach
huge platform.
600 plus teachers, right? So from many countries, educators have participated in the survey and have given us many ideas, many information about what kind of teaching is happening in their country. So it has helped us a lot. It has helped us a lot. And
And need to make the questionnaire
nowadays,
also
right. And nowadays, the collaboration is even easier through those,
through online
you know,
platforms.
yeah, through online platforms like Zoom, Meet. Though we were not that familiar before the pandemic time, so every
Even we
I
have
should
conducted
say,
an interview through
yeah, we have conducted
Zoom.
interviews, right, through Zoom. So this is how we have been in collaboration. Many educators from all around the world have helped us a lot.
So just what you need to know, who is your target, or audience, or maybe who is your target interviewee. You need to approach them through a letter. One that, would you remember we have conducted, we have taken interview with Mr. Ali Ajuddin and other big, trainers. It's really tough to get their time, but we approach them through a letter, and then we could get the time to, make a
Right.
schedule to take the interview. So you should know the proper way to, approach them. So you have to keep it in mind when you ask for any help from the international teachers or even local teachers. You need to write a letter to them through email or something like that, right?
So it should be a proper approach.
Approach,
Obviously,
formal approach.
people are happy to collaborate. People are happy
Yes,
to collaborate. People are happy to share their ideas, help. But the approach needs to be systematic,
exactly,
organized.
exactly. How to collect data information, that already we said. We have collected the information through Google Form, that is survey. Then we have collected information through interview. We have taken many interviews of the international and local teachers,
Right.
and then we have collected the information from local magazines, international magazines, blogs, websites. So those things you can get the information data. Make sure when you're collecting that data information, you have to open a different, maybe Google Doc, or maybe MS Word, and note down all these website name and everything. Otherwise, again you have to find out the things that will make your life easy. If you uh, collect the information, make sure quickly you copy the website or journal or newspaper link and paste it in Google Doc or maybe MS Word. Because when you write about the reference, those links are going to help you to write it, and it will not take much time, right?
Yes. So we had a hard time while writing the references in our first research paper, but
Yes,
while
and then you
we
have
are
got experience.
right, right, right. But with course of time, when we conducted the research for second and third time, our third paper, it became really easy,
More organized way.
more organized. We could do it.
Exactly. How research can help in your career? Yes, that we already said. We've been appreciated from our school. Also, we do remember when our first paper was presented in the conference in Malaysia.
Yeah.
That time, a panelist asked us. He asked, "What being a teacher? We are only the primary teacher. 99% teachers." Presenters are university professors, their doctorate, their lectures, but we are only two. Miss Aliza and I was only from primary sector. So even not a single teacher we have found from secondary or college.
I
So
still can remember we got many inspiring comments from them.
from
They
them.
appreciated a
Yes,
lot.
because there is a reason for the university teachers why they are publishing their papers. There is a reason why they are presenting their paper in the conference, because that will help them in their career formally, because it is written in their policies. But in our school, not even our school, in any school in the world, or especially if we think about the Asian or South Asian country schools, there is not a single policy that teachers then need to be attached to the research sector, because people think about the benefit. If we do some research, what will help in our career, it basically not help directly in your career being a primary teacher or second teachers, but yes, indirectly it helps you. That means that your thinking skills will be developed, your critical thinking skills will be developed. You'll being appreciated from your school, your leaders. And even if you want to think about that, you want to be a university teacher after a few years, that will also help you. If you want to go for PhD degree, those research paper will help you to get entry in the PhD or maybe scholarship or something like that. So that will help
Mm.
in somehow, directly or indirectly,
It is
right?
going to add value in the career, obviously.
Career, yes. Though you are from primary sector, maybe secondary sector, but still it will help you. Obviously the university teachers, they are getting help, they are being benefited, because it is written in their policy to get the promotion from one place to another place, right? One position to another position. So here are two samples of our research. We have published many papers, but there are two samples for you to show you. So um, I'm showing you two of the papers. So this is the two things. This is the first one. We published a paper. We are going to give the link in the comment box, so in future you can also go through it. This is the abstract we have written, and there are some keywords. We have to select keywords. Means if anyone type these words in the Google, your paper can come in the front. So when you choose the keywords, you have to be very selective. This is the introduction part, literature, those
Those
things.
tricky those keywords is going to find to
Easily.
help people find out your paper very easily. When people
Exactly.
are going to look at your paper, so they will look through those keywords, and that will help them to find your paper easily.
Can you see the screen, Miss?
Yes, yes, we can say it.
So there is a copyright of our paper, and now I'm going to show you our second one.
The first one was published in American Journal of Linguistics, and
Can you see the second paper, impact of e-learning?
yes, yes.
So we had other two um, researcher as well, Ms. Aliza Salik and Jonathan Ferdous. This paper is also presented in the conference in Malaysia. So these are the data and informations we have received from the articles. These are questions we have asked to the interviewee, and these are challenges, recommendations. So these are recommendations and limitations. Yes, you can add limitation as well, and these are conclusion and references. Let me check our. Um, there are many people have joined. Uh, I'm going to show on the screen. Yasir Khan, Mr. Yasir Khan is here. Thank you, Mr. Yasir Khan, for joining. Welcome to me and all the teachers. Thank you. Thank you. Our screen is not clear. Oh, because we two teachers we tried to show the slides and it was not work the whole screen. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And now I'm going to show the. Just give me 1 second.
So
If
are
you have
we?
any questions, you can ask us.
Yes, I think we are almost at the end of our show, so we can have some questions now.
Yes,
If
there is a question and answer session. So if you
yes.
want to ask any question, you can ask. Here is a certificate for Miss Alija Salik. Thank you, Asnafa and Miss, for giving us these certificates. Miss, can you?
Obviously, it was an honor for us to be here in this show, and I
Yeah.
hope educators will be a little benefited from our conversation. We could inspire them a little to conduct research, write research papers. So that is, what we were expecting. So hopefully this session will be a little help for the educators throughout the world. And obviously, this show is helping the educators a lot. And thanks a lot to Asnaha Farhin ma'am for arranging this. And special thanks for inviting us. Obviously, it is an honor for us
And
to be.
research is our passion, and Miss, even we didn't tell these things, but she could understand that research is our passion. So that's the reason she invited us
Right.
to talk about the research. Thank you. So we are going to end up our session. Thank you, people, those who have joined, and I hope you have got some information through our session. And if you would like to present your paper, or if you would like to present your topic in this session, you can reach to our Miss Asna Farin through email. And I think in future we can see your paper as presentation as well here. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Aliza Salik.
Thank you. Thank you, Razman sir. Thank you, Asna Farhin ma'am, for this wonderful, arrangement. And obviously, people, educators all over the world, I think they are being benefited from this show, obviously. So thanks, ma'am. Thanks, Razman sir. It was really a wonderful experience to be here. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thanks to the audiences as well.
Bye bye. Take care.